So the New York Knicks win game one off of a 11-0 run to end the game, and they won by 10 after 11-0 run. You can't really hope for a better ending there, and I think it says a lot about the Spurs and just their current state after the battle that they went through with the Thunder. Just watching game one from your perspective, how much do you feel like they're just still feeling the effects, both mentally and physically, from that Thunder series?
You could tell Wemby was feeling it, dude, the whole time. Like there was moments in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third and fourth where I was like, he's just gassed. Like he doesn't have anything left. Like I mean, and we talked about it before we hopped on. Like if you look at the box score and you just look at the points scored and the rebounds, like on paper, it's a pretty solid game. It's not bad, but he shot the ball awful, dude. You could tell he had no legs. Dylan Harper surprised me with how well he played, but it's you could tell there was like moments where like the guards for okay, oh no, wow, that was almost real bad
We've been
for the Spurs.
talking about them so much for the past few weeks.
Yeah, we really have. So the guards for the Spurs, you could tell that they were just. It wasn't like the moment was too big, but they reverted back to what we saw early on in the OKC series with being out of control. Harper had a couple times where he probably should have just tried to finish at the rim instead of kicking it to the corner for a three. And I know that's what they look for, especially with Champagny on the floor. But there was times where I thought he could have done a better job attacking the rim and going up with it, especially with how well he finishes the ball around the rim.
Wembanyama, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of 21 from the field, but that 6 of 21 felt like a 3 of 30.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
and some of those misses were awful. Like
He
he
had
had
a
that one in
clock.
the corner at the end that hit like the top right of the backboard, and it was like, what the hell was that?
I was like, wow, that's not the Wimby I've gotten used to. Like, we can't be doing that out here.
He looked so focused to start the game that I was like, uh-oh, he's got that look in his eye. And then within the first few minutes of the game, it was like, this dude's exhausted. Or
I
it
think
was
there's
evident.
I think there was a couple times too for the Spurs where I felt like when they went up and they went up a couple times like 10 or more and the Knicks somehow managed to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. But I think there was a few times where the Spurs thought like, oh, we punched them in the mouth. They're not getting back up. And then the Knicks kept coming and they kept coming and Brunson went off, dude. Brunson, who also did not have a great shooting night, but his buckets, every one of them felt like this is the moment. That video that we were gonna that I did where I messed up the Knicks coach's name again. Or did I mess? No, I messed up. I said Barnes like he was gonna be a big factor, which he played a lot more than I thought he did would. But I said that like
Maybe too much.
Brunson reminds me of like Derek Jeter for New York. Like he's gonna steady the boat and he's gonna be your guy. Like when that moment comes, almost like Jeter running all the way across from shortstop and getting the guy out at home plate in whatever World Series that was. I remember I was like a little kid. I was maybe like 03, 04, something like that. But when he did that in that moment, that reminds me of how Brunson plays. Like that moment is never too big. Doesn't matter how bad he's shot, he's gonna go on his run and he's gonna find his buckets no matter what.
Yeah, he had like 8 or 9 straight points there during that run to close out the game. And when he hit that corner three in front of well, I think in front of the Spurs bench, there at the end, it was like this guy. And then he had that crazy shot. Who was guarding him? I can't remember. Was it Vassell? Somebody was guarding him, and he didn't even have any room to even get into emotion, and he fell down and threw it. Like he's absurd. I think that Derek Jeter is a good comparison, just the captain of the team. Like whether he has the greatest game or not, he's the leader you want out there regardless. And like you said, he shot. Oh, I just had it pulled up. He didn't have a great shooting game, but it didn't feel like it when you were watching it. He shot 12 of 31, but whereas Wemby shot 6 of 21 and it felt like 3 of 30, Brunson's 12 of 31 felt more like a 14 of 27. Like it didn't feel like it was damaging the team at all.
It did help, and I know he got a shout out. Brunson gave him a shout out at the end of the game, though, is how well Josh Hart played and just the motor that he played with the entire game. Like, it doesn't seem like he really gets tired because he's constantly involved in where the ball's going. He's constantly, what do you have, like 14 rebounds? Like, it
15.
was crazy, dude. And he also a lot of them were offensive boards, and they were big offensive boards where like they needed another bucket to kind of either cut into San Antonio's lead or push their lead further. I just thought Hart played out of his mind.
One of the notes I wrote down while I was watching was Josh Hart role player impact master class. He shot the
Yeah,
ball 5 times, only made one of them, and you could make it, you're going to give it to Brunson, but he has to be brought up for most valuable player this game. Particularly when Brunson was dealing with like potential injuries and stuff, just keeping them in it. Josh Hart and Cat were phenomenal. Hart had 15 rebounds, 6 assists, and the best plus minus, he was plus 22.
zero turnovers, 6 assists and zero turnovers. And that is going to be one of those things that where if it he wasn't impacting them as far as scoring, but man, he was never hurting them. It was never him where like it's his fault we're down or anything like that. He absolutely owned what he had to do on the floor.
Yeah,
And Cat also,
I know for a
I
lot
thought
of people, what were you gonna say?
I just felt like Cat played in pretty solidly. Like he 18 points, 7 for 15, didn't shoot the three real well, but I felt like he did a really good job of bringing Wemby out of the paint a lot. And that's exactly like one of those things that the Knicks have to do is bring Wemby out of the paint as much as they can.
I almost feel like Cat realized Wemby was tired this game, and he was just going. I mean, he's going to go at his chest the whole series. That's going to be the game plan. But he kept beating Wemby off the dribble to the point where Wemby kind of, I don't want to say gave up, but stopped pursuing the chase down block on it because Cat just got right by him. And we don't see that kind of stuff. This game, game ones are weird. They're always kind of, I don't want to say fluky, but weird stuff happens in game one. You can't take them super serious, particularly in the NBA Finals. Game ones, that's what all the weird stuff always happens. You had the Halliburton shot last year. You have those random games where an unbeatable team lose, like the Golden State Warriors when they lost to the Cavs that year, but never lost another game. You had the Allen Iverson Lakers year. Like game ones are always weird, but this felt different. One of the things for me, the Spurs got extremely tired in the Thunder series, but they caught their second wind around game 6 at the end of game 5, right when their backs hit the ropes. They need a third wind, and I worry if they can find it.
That was the thing with the guards for the Spurs. I really noticed that they were hitting their stride game six, game seven for sure, as far as shooting the ball. They weren't turning the ball over as many silly turnovers that they had early on in the series. And then we kind of see a revert back to that in game one. And I think this is the worst the Spurs are going to play. This is the worst version of the Spurs. I think they do pick their second wind, and I think they'll be fine. I think the series will probably get knotted up in the next round. The next game, it'll be tied 1-1, probably. Depends. I mean, if the Knicks keep swinging like they're swinging, like, I don't know, man. The way the Knicks played, it almost made you feel like there's a weird chance where we kind of underestimated the Knicks pretty hard, and I'm not saying they could sweep the Spurs, but there's if they keep punching and keep playing like they're playing, it doesn't seem like they've hit a wall yet through these last. Now this is the third series I think where they've just been on unstoppable.
Yeah. They haven't lost since what, game 4 against the Hawks? Game 3 or game 4 against the Hawks? They
Yeah,
haven't lost?
which is crazy because they were about to blow up the Knicks. Like
Yeah. It was over. Mike Brown's done. He's never getting another coaching job.
I think Stephen A came out and said he wanted Brown fired, or like they needed to like look at it and maybe
Yeah.
cast out the guy.
But I will say for the Spurs, the one guy who didn't seem that tired was actually Harper to me.
Harbor
He,
played.
yeah, he had that energy. He brought the energy. He was attacking the glass. He did everything he could, which is, it's crazy we're saying that about a 20-year-old kid. But he seemed to kind of be the steady hand. Fox didn't have a good game. He was 3 of 13. Didn't look very good. He looked kind of rattled. I don't know. Because one thing about it too, I think the Spurs are physically tired, but also just how much winning game 7 meant to them. I know there's a lot of pushback on Wemby and the emotion he showed in Game 7, which I, for the record, have zero issue with. I'm all for it. The caveat to that is, okay, now you have to re-engage. I feel like it's very tough to give yourself that emotional release of like, we did it to then being like, but I got more to do tomorrow. Like, I think it's tough. You almost have to, it's like the Kobe thing is like, job's not finished. Like, you almost have to keep that in order to maintain that, or you're going to have to re-engage. And how long does it take for them to re-engage both mentally and physically to get back to the point where they can beat this extremely tough Knicks team?
Yeah, I agree with you about Fox, and I agree with you on Harper. At some point, if you're the Spurs, do you consider starting Harper, maybe over Fox?
Yeah, I'm sure you consider it, especially if we have another game or two like this out of Fox. Like,
I mean, the man played 38 minutes, had 7 points, shot 3 for 13, 0 for 4. He had 5 assists, but 3 turnovers, and then he also had 5 fouls.
rough,
It's not a good game.
not at all. And that's my worry with Fox. You and I are big Fox guys, but I've always just kind of worried in the back of my mind of like, is there a chance he turns into a pumpkin?
I mean, especially after how well he played in Game 7, too. Like, he had a great Game 7 against OKC. And then to follow it up with this performance, it's one of those things where it's got to be creeping in the Spurs organization's mind. Like, hey, like, how much more are we going to do with the Fox situation? Like, one game doesn't define his Spurs time there, but it is one of those things where you start to worry, or because you have options that are so young right now, too.
Yeah. I'm not sounding any alarms on it. It's just one of those where I've had that concern with him. He's always been a super clutch player in his career, so I don't want to downplay that. That's one of the reasons why you and I both love him because he was the guy in Sacramento. As rough as it was to watch him through those years, if it was a close game, the other team did not want De'Aaron Fox to
Yeah.
touch the ball. So I still believe in him. I think he's going to have a moment. Like I said, game ones are weird, but I still think everything that happens is notable, and we'll see. I did see Wimby was pissed in the tunnel.
I mean, wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Wimby dude, like, come on now. You got to play better than that. You got to shoot the ball better than that. Even if you're going to end up with 26 points, let it be a more efficient 26 points.
Yeah, and
Like
it
two
was
for nine from three, and they didn't shoot the ball well at all this game.
as soon as he opened up like his first few shots with a couple threes and a contested mid-range, I was like, I mean, he hit the first one and I was like, uh-oh. And
Well,
I saw the look in his eye.
he hit that first three, and then he hit that fadeaway, and I was like, oh shit, Wimby about to go for 40.
Yeah. And then he followed it up with a few other shots that were early in the shot clock, kind of deep or contested. And I was like, I don't think he's really made an attack at the basket once. And I don't think he's going to be all that impressive.
He had that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, he had that one at the end of the game where I think it was like 2 minutes left, maybe, and the Spurs still had a chance. It was still within six, it might have even been 4 or 6, somewhere in that range, that 4 to 6 range. But he got the ball. It was early in the shot clock. He didn't even really, he kind of sized Cat up a little bit, but he just pulled it so quickly. And I was like, I mean, I get it, but you're shooting 2 for 9. You're not, or at that time, 2 for 6 or 2 for whatever. Um, it was one of those moments where I was like, man, let's get a better shot than that. Like it didn't need to be taken. They had plenty of time at that point. There was no reason to shoot that shot, and so it was just one of those moments where it's like Wemby is gonna have to lock in a little bit more.
Did he have a dunk this game?
I don't think so. I know he had the one. He laid the ball up against Cat the one time.
I don't think he had a dunk. And I
I think
can't
he,
remember the last time I watched a Wimby game where he played an actual decent amount of minutes and he didn't get a dunk.
yeah.
No alley-oop,
Oh,
nothing.
they guarded well against the lob pass. Like they didn't really allow that.
They guarded him extremely well. Between Cat and Mitchell Robinson and, I mean, Josh Hart did what he could to disrupt. They stole the ball from him a couple times. I mean, Cat was guarding the hell out of Wimby.
There was a
Cat,
part,
you go.
there was a part of me that felt like Cat, like this game meant more to Cat. Like everybody's been talking about Wemby. Like that's been the main topic on every podcast, show, whatever. They've been like Wemby, Wemby, and not a lot of Cat. Cat's been kind of a side note a lot of times. Like he's usually that guy that people are like, oh yeah, like Cat's got to play well, but he probably won't. Or like, who cares? Basically, it's been Brunson, Wemby.
Cat, 18 points, 12 rebounds, plus 14 on the court. He was very vital for them when Brunson went down with injuries, had to go to the locker room. Cat stayed out there, I think, for every minute of it, and he kept them in it throughout the entirety of it. He straight up outplayed Wimby. Cat outplayed Wimby tonight. He played great defense on him, was extremely physical, was not giving up any ground. Every time Wemby got the ball, it was almost a travel against Cat because Cat did not give up any ground whatsoever. Same with Mitchell Robinson. Cat showed great passing. He looked like Jokic on a couple of those passes from the elbow. He just straight up outplayed him all the way around. I know if you just look at the stat sheet and you see what I say, 18 and 12 against 26 and 12, you'd be like, oh, Wemby got the better of him. But no. I feel like Cat kind of dominated them tonight, and you and I are huge Wimby guys, but it was undeniable.
Yeah, it was tough to watch, honestly. Like not just because I like Wemby so much, it was tough for me to see him kind of go down like that. But Cat played so good, dude. I'm not gonna take anything away from the way Cat played. If Cat plays this well all series long, we might be looking at banners going up in New York. Like that's a tough team to beat, dude. Brunson going off, and I know we talked about it before we got on the actual recording of the pod, but Mitchell Robinson, just his way of impacting the game without even having to score really at all. I don't even know if he scored a bucket the whole game, but man, he every time Wemby was not getting near Brunson, so Brunson could score.
Mitchell Robinson had 2 points. I remember he had
Yeah,
a, I remember that where he dunked it, and it was like it was kind of it barely got in the hoop. I wouldn't even really call it a poster. But his, like what you were talking about before we got on, his like Gortat screens that he was, if you even call it that, it's really just like I'm holding you and you're not getting around me. And Wimby tried to hit him with like a swim move on one of those to get by him, and it was just like, nah, bro, they're not gonna call me wrapping my arms around you right here unless you fall down. So they really ever since the NBA kind of accepted a Gortat screen for not being a moving screen back in the day, they just let the center kind of do whatever the hell they want in that kind of situation. And the Knicks are going to take advantage of that. And I don't know, again, as much as I love Wemby and we've talked about him in the highest amount of respect, I don't know if he has the tools yet, both physically and just experience to combat that yet.
not yet,
He's
but
22.
yeah, he's a pup, man. Which is crazy to say about somebody who's 7'6", but
Yeah.
he's just a pup.
And this was one of those games where it was like, oh yeah, he's 22. And that sounds like just making excuses for him. That's not an excuse for the Knicks outplaying the Spurs tonight. And honestly, if you just look at it, they probably should have beat him by more just because nothing went right for the Spurs, except I would even kind of say the officiating was in the Spurs' favor a bit. It seemed like
It
they were
was.
getting a lot more touch calls, and the Knicks were not allowed to. I just said they got away with court touch screens of basically moving holding screens on them. But when it came to the other side of the ball, they weren't really allowed to touch Wimby because the only reason he got 26 points is because he took how many free throws? 13.
Yeah,
So, but big game for the Knicks. It's how about those fans? Those fans will travel, huh?
yeah. Them Nick fans, man, they're about it.
That energy when the game started was so a lot of times I watch these games with Wendy in the same room, but she doesn't really watch. Every now and then she'll look up from her phone or her laptop, whatever she's doing. But how the game started and the energy, as soon as it did, she put her phone down and she started watching too, just because it felt momentous. It felt like this is different. It almost had like World Cup vibes. Like that energy's coming soon. And it had that, oh, this is the world is watching.
Dude, I didn't sit down for the first like I was up pacing. I started cooking during like the first quarter. So I was up cooking and watching the game on my phone and then we put it on the TV and I didn't sit down for like the whole first half because the energy was so good, dude. I just wanted to be like I don't know, up and moving around and just it was such a good game going back and forth.
Yeah, it was great. Can I nitpick a couple things real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
ABC, I don't think knows how to balance their audio. I don't know if you could tell. I don't know if you watched the halftime show. I normally don't, for the record, so maybe this has been an all season thing. You can hear a word Ernie, Chuck, Shaq, Kenny were saying. Couldn't hear a word. And it wasn't because the fans were loud. They inputted music during the highlights, and that music was way louder than anything they were saying. And you already can't really hear Shaq. So when he started talking, it was like, oh, well, that's just noise. I'm not hearing a word of this. So little nitpick there. Another one I had down. It's always fun when the NBA Finals are like, let's get a quick live betting ad read in here real quick. If you want to bet on this shit,
Yeah,
FanDuel.
you gotta have it, man.
But the energy was crazy. I couldn't even hear the whistles a couple times just because how loud the fans were. And I don't know if the players even could, because there's multiple times where the game was stopped and some of the players were still going through emotion or something. I was like, oh shit, we stopped.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot. It kind of almost felt like an AAU tournament where you can't hear because there's six courts going at one time, and you're like, "Shit,
Yeah.
was that whistle for me?"
Yeah. And you have to like look to coach immediately. Like, was
All
that
right,
us?
do I keep going? No. All right, cool.
If the New York Knicks upset the San Antonio Spurs since they're 2-1 underdogs, where does this leave Jalen Brunson in his legacy overall? We've talked Knicks legacy, but let's just talk NBA legacy. Where does that kind of slot him?
It definitely, obviously, it moves you up. You got a championship. If he ends up being Finals MVP too, that adds to it.
Because
I
it's
don't know,
crazy to think about. I don't know if people have even come to grips with him being like a top 100 player of all time, even though he's had a hell of the past like 4 to 5 years. I think he averages like 27 plus in the playoffs over the past 4 years. Like he's a legit guy, but I don't know if anybody's really even had any legacy combos about him yet.
dude. You know what? That's weird. You don't ever hear any Brunson legacy conversations. Could be because everybody viewed the Knicks getting Brunson as like not even a good decision. Like there was a lot of people that video resurfaced of Stephen A. Smith saying it was a terrible decision, and they've obviously he's proven that wrong.
For sure. Because I think him making the finals, especially you look at his size, he's what, 6'2", I think. 6'3" most, 6'1" lowest.
Yeah,
So
he's in
I'm
that range.
yeah, I'm gonna
But
say 6'2", and history for guys that size being the best player on a finals team. That list is
it's pretty
supremely
short.
short.
Yeah,
It's
pun
Isaiah
intended.
Thomas, Steph, if you count him, he's 6'3", so we're barely including him
Yeah,
there.
he's barely in that range, but yeah, I would count Steph in there.
Is there anybody else, especially if we're talking like since the 3-point lines become a thing?
I mean, do they have to win the finals? Is that what you're talking about? Like specifically guys who have won the finals?
Yeah, because if we include people who made it, obviously Allen Iverson would be included.
That was the first one I was thinking of if we're going to include the guy, but I don't think there is anybody else besides those two that have won finals and been the best player on the team.
Is there anybody else who's led their team to the finals at that size besides AI and those two guys? How tall is Kid?
Kid's 6'3", 6'4", I think.
So he might be in there too. I don't think of him as small though, even
I
though,
don't ever think of him. So it says 6'4".
okay, so he's out of it. Yeah, so it'd be Brunson, Zeke, and Steph. I can't think of another as best player, like definitive best player on the team. And just making the finals alone is already such a, I mean, that's Iverson's crowning achievement is taking that team to the finals. And most
Yeah.
people have him like consensus top 35. Like a lot of people would have him in the top 25. And that's his crowning moment. And Brunson's already achieved that and potentially more. He hadn't have the MVP though.
I don't see Brunson ever winning an MVP.
Right.
I'll say that. I could see it happening in like a weird year, like if there were some injuries or just kind of things went his way. I don't see him with the talent that's out there winning with Wemby, SGA, because he's still below those guys, which is tough to say when you're in the finals and you just took game one. I'm not shitting on him at all, so Knicks fans don't come at me. But because I do think if he wins the finals on this run that he's having, like let's say he if he beats the Spurs in five, he's got to be on the Mount Rushmore for Knicks fans. Like
Oh, for
that's a
sure.
no doubter for me. Then even if you win in seven, honestly, as long as you win, who cares? It's been since '99 since y'all been there.
I think he's there even without winning.
I agree too. There were some
Legitimately.
people who were kind of against it, which I get both sides of that story, but I think he's got to be on Mount Rushmore, and I think you got to start talking about him at least in the top 40, if not top 25 players. Just because adding a chip to it, I don't see him. The thing when you were talking, I don't see a season now where you're not going to see like if the Knicks roster stays the same or they add to it after this year. What's a year where you don't see them in the Eastern Conference Finals? Just based on how the East is made up right now, not including the rookies coming in, nothing like that. If the East stays as it, if the East was to stay as it is now, like what's the one year they don't go to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think you saying he could be up to like top 25 is one of those things where your top 25 has like 60 people in it. It's like where you name a guy's like, oh yeah, he's top 25. Oh yeah, he's top 25. And the next thing you know, you've named 55 dudes who deservedly get that title. Um, I it's going to be interesting if he does win, especially in like 5 or 6 games or something. It's we're gonna have to have some conversations that I don't think people have even considered we were ever going to have. I know I never considered that. I know even uh, his coach, Wright, said that he knew he was gonna be good, but that he's way better than I ever thought he was gonna be. Like he's exceeded all expectations and then some, even for his most avid supporters. If his dad was being honest, I don't know if he would say, "Yeah, I saw this coming."
And I bet his dad probably did see it coming. His dad, I don't see his dad not saying that. Like,
Oh,
maybe
he's going
not.
to say he did. He's going to
Yeah,
say he did. And I would too if I was his dad. But if he's talking to his buddies, like, bro, I did not see that shit coming at all.
my dad would not. My dad would absolutely come out and shit on me. It would be hilarious.
Yeah,
My dad would be like, I definitely didn't see this. He was a lazy.
if you were Brunson and somebody got a mic in front of your dad, he would probably then just be like, he could box out better.
Yeah, 100%.
Just be a nitpick.
Yeah. He could have like 45 points. He could have passed it a few more
Yeah.
times.
He
Give
missed a
up a
couple
couple.
passes.
Yeah. Brunson, though, dude, I think you have to talk about him in that at least top 35 range, dude, like all time. If he wins the finals, like I'm not saying this Knicks team is ass. Like this Knicks team is obviously good,
Right.
but I mean,
It's just tough. It's tough. So if he wins,
I hate the Knicks and you hate Knicks fans because you're a Knick hater. That's what it is, man. I told you. Like New York fans got to get on you, man. Like this is unacceptable.
don't deflect. They know I'm a diehard Knicks
Look,
guy.
Jalen Brunson is the best player to ever play the game of basketball. He's the greatest. He should have got MVP. It's bullshit he didn't.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a question, and I promise you I won't clip it because I want to get your honest view on this, okay?
Okay.
And if I clip it, I know it's just gonna lead to people just fucking exploding. Uh,
Might
if
need to
he
clip
wins a championship, Brunson or Iverson?
Brunson. I don't even have to think about it, dude.
Ah,
I really don't. I mean, look, Allen Iverson had an incredible run. Like I loved Iverson growing up. No hate on Iverson at all. But it kind of dwindled, dude. Like it wasn't a consistent long run. Like he really dropped off. And I know he had a lot of personal stuff going on. He had a lot of other stuff that happened to him. But like I just think that like I don't know, man. Like I think I gotta go Brunson. Especially if Brunson remains on this track that he's on.
Iverson's so tough because when you take the nostalgia out of it and just the impact of the moment and you really reflect on things, it's like the reality of what it was may not be as high as the feeling of what it was.
Yeah. I think and I'm not like Iverson had a bigger impact on the culture around basketball than he even did on the floor. And he was crazy to
For
watch
sure.
when he was on the floor. But his impact it's felt outside of it. And I get why people have the feelings tied to Iverson that they did. He was very much like kids growing up then too. Like and every kid wanted to be Iverson. Every parent didn't want their kid to be Iverson, but every kid wanted to be Iverson. Like I wanted to be Iverson. I thought he was the coolest thing. That 2001 run, I loved Allen Iverson.
Fun
But I
fact, that picture of the kid at the Sixers game with the fake Iverson tattoos and braids, that was Sean.
it was me. That'd be so cool, dude. There is a picture. It's on MySpace. I don't think it's around anymore, thankfully. But there's a picture of me with like a grill and some Cleveland Cavalier jeans and a LeBron James. It's an awful picture.
I
It was
hope
our
it
rap
gets
album.
found one day.
I hope it never gets found.
Unearth
But
that.
I mean, like, dude, Iverson for his career, in no shade, he averaged 23.5 points a game. And then he had
The shooting splits are rough in comparison to Brunson.
from 97 to about 2007 8, his second season in Denver, he was still averaging some pretty high point totals. Looks like he was averaging his second year in, or yeah, second year in Denver, he averaged 26.4 points. And then after that, he dropped 18 all the way down to 12. So, I mean, but that's comes with age, comes with getting beat up for, from 96, 97 all the way to 2010. Like he had a long career. I mean, he only played 3 games in 2010, but I'm not throwing any shade. I just think if Brunson wins a championship and he keeps going the way he's going, I think you got to take Brunson
I hate that I kind of agree.
because you're a Nick hater, bro. You don't want to be a Knicks fan.
I just love Iverson, man.
I know, dude, but he's one of the greatest scorers to ever. Like he's one of the top scorers to ever play the game. Just the way he played it, and that crossover move is still one of the nastiest moves. But
I think I have an Iverson jersey and jersey shirt. Like I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a pretty big Iverson guy, or I used to be when I was younger. And and also if you just look at like peak for peak, Iverson had a good from like '01 to '06. I would say
yeah,
is probably like his that was his range of really being the guy, maybe
his peak was
2000.
longer than I thought. Like his how good he was longer than I was putting in my head at first.
And I will say during his peak, he was held in higher conversations of being in the rankings of best players in the world. But I feel like it was a lot more top heavy then versus now. Like there's a lot more depth to it. Like back then, it was obviously like Duncan, Shaq, Kobe, and then it was just Iverson. Whereas now I mean, there's so many people, it's more international. But it's interesting, just thought experiment to do. Brunson wins a chip, him or Tatum.
Tatum.
So transit property Tatum over Iverson too, huh?
Yeah.
Damn, we really got to do our top 100 this offseason.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the perfect offseason to do it. There's only going to be a lot of movement anyway on it this year.
Yeah.
Some guys really stepping up.
So subscribe and follow us and tune in this offseason. You'll get to see our top 100 and see us piss each other off debating about it.
Yeah, this guy hates the Knicks though, so y'all remember that.
Fake news. Don't make me call Detroit.
I'll ride with New York, man. I don't. That it's probably gonna come out kind of even, but shit.
Have
I
fun.
was thinking about even saying that though.
Yeah, I'm staying out of that one. Thank y'all for
Uh,
watching. On that note, thank y'all for watching.